Before we dive into tonight's tangled tale of love, status, and secrets, tell me something, darling listener. Where in the world are you watching from? Drop it in the comments below. And if your guilty pleasure is billionaire love friction, with a twist, go on, hit that like button and subscribe. Trust me, you won't want to miss a single beat. Because tonight, in a ballroom bathed in candlelight, under the watchful eyes of high society and hidden cameras, a young woman will be ignored by the man she dreamt of for years, only to be seen, truly seen, by someone no one expected, his silent, enigmatic bodyguard. The Crystal Dove Charity Ball was the crown jewel of New York's winter season. Held in the ballroom of the L'Arcadia Grand, a hotel so exclusive that royalty booked 2 years in advance. The event was invitation only, fiercely guarded, and gleamed like a cathedral made for sin and diamonds. The chandeliers hung like frozen galaxies, each crystal hand-cut in Austria. The floors, imported marble from Carrara, polished to a gleam so bright you could see your future or your downfall in the reflection. Waiters glided like ghosts in black tuxedos, balancing champagne flutes on mirrored trays. At the center of it all stood Seraphina Vale. 26, heart pounding beneath a second-hand satin gown. She clutched a vintage clutch that had belonged to her late mother. It was the only piece of family history she had left. She stood near the ballroom's edge, barely illuminated, her eyes fixed on the golden boy of the evening. Heir to the Drake dynasty. 32. Dark hair, cruel mouth, custom Tom Ford suit. He didn't just walk. He commanded space. Even now, surrounded by senators, tech moguls, and models with impossible cheekbones, his presence ruled like a silent storm. She had waited all week, no, all her life, for this moment. A chance to speak to him, to tell him thank you for the scholarship foundation his company funded, to maybe, just maybe, be seen. Her best friend, Ava, had said she looked breathtaking, but Killian didn't glance her way. Not once. He passed her with a half-smile, meant for someone else. And just like that, Seraphina Vale vanished into the marble shadows of his world. But someone saw her. From across the room, a pair of eyes, storm gray, unreadable, locked onto her with quiet intensity. His name would not appear in the gala's registry. No one knew he'd even arrived. But tonight, he would be the one to take her hand. And nothing would ever be the same. What would you do in Seraphina's shoes? Let me know in the comments, because the night has just begun. Seraphina Vale was no stranger to invisible doors. Born in a third-floor walk-up in Brooklyn, raised by a mother who taught piano lessons to scrape by, her world had always been painted in shades of struggle. But she never complained. While other kids dreamed of Disney, Seraphina dreamed of Juilliard. While her classmates obsessed over TikTok trends, she obsessed over arpeggios, sonatas, and Chopin's nocturnes. She played on a piano missing 3 ivory keys. She applied to internships wearing thrifted blazers 2 sizes too big. She once bussed tables at a gala just like the one she now attended, praying no one recognized her. It was Killian Drake's foundation that gave her the scholarship to finish music school, and yet he didn't know her name. Not really. She remembered seeing him once at a corporate mixer for donors. He had smiled politely at her group, said something generic about supporting the arts, then vanished into the arms of a blonde heiress. But Seraphina never forgot his face. The power in it. the loneliness behind the charm. It wasn't love. Not yet. But she wanted to thank him for the door his signature had opened, and maybe, deep down, she hoped for more. "I'm proud of you," her mother had whispered before her death 3 years ago. "You don't need anyone, but if love finds you, let it." Now here she was, at his ball. She had taken a bus and 2 trains to get here. Her gown was borrowed, her earrings, fake pearls, her heels. Well, one had a tiny crack. She prayed no. One would notice Ava had offered to lend her something new, but Seraphina wanted to hold on to the old, the threadbare, the meaningful. Even as the chandeliers glittered overhead, she felt like a glass figurine set too close to the edge. The moment she saw Killian's back turned toward her, laughing with a crowd of people who drank champagne like water, she knew. He didn't remember her. He wouldn't speak to her. And if she tried, she'd look foolish. But someone else had noticed. He had been standing beside Killian, unmoving, his dark eyes missing nothing. His suit was simple, no designer label. His posture, rigid, professional, a sentinel among wolves. Was the bodyguard. And yet, he had watched Seraphina as if she were the threat, or the mystery. He moved only when Killian did, a shadow with form. But once, just once, Seraphina caught him staring. Not leering, not judging, seeing. Her throat had gone dry. No one had looked at her like that before, not even Killian, especially not him. Who was he, and why? When Killian walked by as if she were wallpaper, did this stranger look at her like she might shatter? The song changed. A soft waltz. Guests paired up. A few camera flashes sparked. Killian offered his hand to a statuesque model with a laugh. Seraphina turned to leave. Her cheeks burned, her vision blurred. And that's when it happened. A hand, warm, sure, and gloved, touched her elbow gently. She looked up, startled. The bodyguard stood before her. Closer now. Real. His face unreadable. But his voice? Low. Smooth. Almost apologetic. "Miss Vale," he said. He knew her name. "May I have this dance?" The world fell away. The room pulsed with opulence. String quartets wove melodies in the air. The scent of champagne and gardenias thick as velvet. But Seraphina didn't feel any of it. Her pulse pounded like a war drum as she stood face to face with the one person she hadn't expected. Not Killian. Not a friend. But him. The bodyguard's gloved hand was still outstretched. "Miss Vale," he repeated, voice steady but soft, like steel wrapped in silk. "One dance, that's all." Guests were beginning to glance over. A few tilted their heads. A young woman in a borrowed gown and a man who looked like he belonged more in a military parade than a ballroom. Her voice caught. Why? His gray eyes flickered. Because he didn't. And just like that, she placed her hand in his. The music swelled. They moved to the center of the dance floor. He guided her with surprising grace, measured, respectful, never leading. Too boldly, never letting her stumble. People were watching now. From the balcony, Killian Drake paused mid-sip. His blue gaze locked onto the floor. Something sharp entered his expression. But he said nothing. He simply turned away. Seraphina's heart fractured quietly. But the man before her didn't notice the crowd. He watched her. "You knew my name," she whispered. "I make it a habit to know people who deserve better," he replied. That answer would replay in her mind 1,000 times in the days to come. She dared a small smile. "Do you work for him?" "Shoots." Man gave a slight nod. "I protect him. But tonight, you looked like the one who needed it more." A hush fell over the room as the song ended. Polite applause. A camera flash. The moment shattered like spun glass. He released her hand, but he didn't vanish. He leaned down just slightly, voice low. "Don't let that man make you feel invisible." Then he stepped back into the shadows as Killian approached. Only now did the billionaire look at her. But why? And why now? Killian Drake stopped 2 feet from her, expression unreadable. Seraphina froze, her heart caught between fury and a foolish flutter. Was he about to apologize? Did he even realize how deeply that moment had hurt her? Seraphina. Right? His voice was smooth, polite, as if asking for a Wi-Fi password. She blinked. "You knew I was here." He hesitated. "Of course. I saw your name on the list. I didn't know we'd met before." "We haven't," she lied. He nodded, distracted. His phone buzzed in his pocket, and for a split second, he glanced at it, mid-conversation. She'd had enough. "Thanks for the scholarship," she said flatly. "It changed my life." Killian blinked. "I'm glad. Really." He offered a practiced smile. The kind of smile he gave to press, to interns, to boardrooms. Seraphina turned on her heel and walked away. Outside, in the hotel courtyard, she found silence and the cold bite of wind. Her breath fogged in the air. She wanted to cry. She almost did. But she didn't. Instead, she sat on a stone bench beneath a sculpture of angel wings and tried to breathe. Her phone buzzed. Ava. "Girl. Who is? That bodyguard, and can I marry him? Also. Killian watching you like a hawk. What is going on?" Seraphina stared at the message and laughed. Just once, bitterly. She typed back, "Nothing. Just a charity case, dancing with a ghost." Before she could hit send, a shadow crossed the bench. She looked up. It wasn't Killian. It was him again. The bodyguard. He didn't sit, just stood beside her, hands clasped behind his back. "Are you okay?" she sighed. "Not really. But thanks for asking." A beat passed. "You're not just a charity case," he said. "You're someone who stood out, even in a room full of gold." Her eyes snapped up. "Why are you being kind to me?" He looked at her then. Truly looked. "Because I know what it feels like to be overlooked. Until someone decides you're useful." She stared at him. "You sound like you've seen a lot." "I've seen enough." Another pause. "Do you have a name?" she asked finally. He hesitated. Then, "Luca." "Luca," she echoed. He nodded once. Then he turned and disappeared once more. Without a sound. But something lingered in the air where he'd stood. A sense of presence. Of someone who had no right to matter. And yet, somehow, already did. 2 days later, Seraphina returned to the music academy, where she now taught underprivileged kids part-time. Her job barely covered rent, but it gave her something Killian Drake's money never had: purpose. The grand piano in the studio had a stubborn G key that stuck mid-arpeggio. She loved it anyway. That morning, she found roses on the lid and a card. "Sapre you. Deserve more than a silent thank you." KD. She stared at the note like it might catch fire. Before she could react, her phone buzzed. "Unknown number 1. Message. I'd like to speak with you. Tonight. Rooftop at l'Arcadia. 7 p.m. Killian Drake. What was this? A delayed apology? Or something else? Ava begged her not to go. Girl, billionaires don't apologize. They manipulate. You sure about this? But Seraphina was too curious, too furious. She went, at 7 p.m. sharp. She stepped onto the private rooftop deck of the l'Arcadia. The air smelled like lavender and rain. Killian stood alone. No entourage. Just him and the city skyline behind him like a steel crown. He turned as she approached. "You came," he said, sounding surprised. "I wanted to hear what you had to say." He motioned to a chair. She remained standing. He sighed. "I didn't ignore you on purpose that night. You just forgot to care. That's not fair. Neither is pretending to know people you fund for press headlines." Ouch. That one landed. He ran a hand through his hair. "Look, I'm used to being targeted, played. Everyone wants something. And I don't?" He studied her. "No, you wanted nothing. That's why I noticed you." "After?" Seraphina's lips parted in disbelief. "After what? After your bodyguard reminded you I exist?" Silence. "I didn't send him," Killian said quickly. "He's not some social spy. He acts on instinct. And his instinct told him to protect me," she whispered. "Not you." That visibly struck him. "I don't know what you think you saw that night, but Luca, he's different. He wasn't always in this world. Neither was I." Their eyes locked, and for the first time, Killian Drake looked uncomfortable. "I want to change that," he said at last. "Whatever you think of me, I want to do better. For you. Starting now." He reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. "This is an offer, not a handout. I want to fund your music program. Fully. No strings, no press." Seraphina stared at it. Her voice cracked. "Why?" "Because I remember what it felt like. Needing something no one cared to give." She didn't take the envelope. Instead, she asked, "Where's Luca?" Killian blinked. "Why?" "I trust him." Killian's jaw flexed. "He's not part of this conversation." Seraphina turned. "I think he already is." She left without the envelope. But her heart? It was a battlefield now, between a man who could buy the world and the shadow who had shown her kindness. Who would you choose? The billionaire or the bodyguard? Tell me in the comments below. The next morning, Seraphina awoke to gray skies and a pounding headache. Rain tapped the window pane as if urging her to face reality. She spent the hour before her teaching shift scrolling through frantic headlines on her tablet. Drake Dynasty's heir in scandal? Who is Luca? Rumors swirl around Drake bodyguard. Reporters seized on the charity ball as fertile gossip ground. Killian's image, once polished to perfection, now showed faint cracks. Across town, in the Drake family penthouse, a different kind of storm brewed. Lady Vivian Drake sat behind a mahogany desk. Her posture was carved from marble, her gaze ice. At 70, she commanded the Drake empire with surgical precision and absolute ruthlessness. Killian stood before her, shoulders tense. "Mother, I'm not asking for permission." His voice trembled just enough for her to taste fear. Vivian's lips curved into a thin smile. "Oh, you're not?" She lifted a glass of pale pink champagne. "Then why parade Miss Vale in the tabloids? Sympathy is not a currency we trade." "In?" He rubbed his temple. I offered to help her music program. I apologized. An almost imperceptible flicker of amusement passed over Vivienne's eyes. You apologized? Because I meant it. She drained half her glass. No good deed goes unpunished, darling. Her gaze sharpened. Seraphina Vale is a liability. She's untested in our world. She will be used by journalists, rivals, even by you for your social experiments. Social experiments? His jaw clenched. Vivian leaned forward. She'll be exposed, and when she's broken, your golden gesture becomes a distant memory. In that moment, Killian realized his mother wanted Seraphina out of the picture, permanently. Meanwhile, in a shadowed corner of the penthouse, Luca watched through the half-open door. His expression was unreadable, but his fists clenched. He had sworn to protect his employer and the woman who had captured his silent promise. By noon, Seraphina arrived at the academy. The kids greeted her with laughter and chaos. A toddler, banging a drum, preteens elbowing each other for piano turns. It was the world she loved. Unpolished, sincere, messy. She tried to push the Drake drama from her mind, but her phone buzzed again. A string of threatening messages. Anonymous. Vicious. Stay away from the Drake name. You're a charity stunt. Don't get in deeper. A knot formed in her stomach. She scrolled the messages. No number, no name. Just warnings. Someone wanted her silenced. The call came through unannounced. Unknown caller. Stop looking into Mr. Drake's affairs. For your own good. She slammed the phone shut. Luca appeared at the classroom door, silent, imposing. Miss Vale? Her pulse spiked. How did you? He held up a hand. Your teaching schedule is public. Don't worry. I'm here. Under his steady gaze, Seraphina both relaxed and shuddered. He'd answered the call before she even knew she needed help. In the hallway, reporters had camped outside the academy gates. Cameras clicked as she exited. Miss Vale, how do you respond to accusations you're exploiting Drake generosity? She paused, took a breath, then squared her shoulders. I'm here for the music. Always have been. Everything else is noise. Flashes lit her face. She refused to flinch. The next headline would read, Vale's defiant stand against Drake. Doubters. Back at Larcadia that evening, Killian held a closed-door board meeting. His siblings glared, his mother judged. He listened as proxies whispered, She's a distraction. She's bad press. She's too ambitious. Finally, he stood. She's neither. Seraphina Vale is exactly what this family needs. Someone with a purpose beyond money. Vivian's laugh echoed. You're blinded by sentiment. He met her gaze evenly. I'd rather be blinded by hope than by indifference. Outside the boardroom, Luca waited. Killian emerged, lips pressed into a thin line. Luca murmured, She's in danger. Killian's facade cracked. I know. Luca's storm-gray eyes flicked skyward. Rain had begun to fall again. The family's machinations would only intensify. What would you do in Seraphina's shoes? Fight back with words, or step away before it all falls apart? Comment below. Dramatic tensions rise. Stay tuned for the next chapter. Night draped itself over the city like a velvet cloak. Neon signs flickered in puddles. Taxi horns morphed into distant sirens. Seraphina returned to her tiny Brooklyn loft, body exhausted but mind buzzing. She poured tea from a chipped ceramic pot. Jasmine, her favorite. A soft knock at the door startled her. It was Luca. He held a small tray. 2 mismatched mugs, a plate of biscotti. "I thought you might need this," he said quietly. She blinked. "Thank you." They sat at her kitchen table. The city's hum softened behind closed windows. Luca's voice, low, restrained, filled the silence. "You looked like you hadn't slept." She traced the steam swirling above her mug. "I'm fine." He watched her. Fine is a fragile thing. Their eyes met. Thunder rumbled outside. She shifted. "Why do you care?" He hesitated. "I choose who I protect." A memory of that first dance returned. His hand guiding hers, his gaze intense. She stirred her tea. "I never thanked you." He leaned forward. "You don't owe me thanks." Her heart thudded. The air between them crackled. A sudden text lit her phone. "Board meeting tomorrow. Be there." She sighed. "That's the family. They won't let up." Luca pushed the biscotti toward her. "Eat." She nibbled, tasting almonds and sugar. His concern felt like warmth against her spine. Later, he offered to walk her to the subway. She hesitated, then nodded. Rain had stopped. The street lamps cast halos on the sidewalk. They walked side by side. No words necessary. At the station, she turned. "I'm grateful for the tea, for everything." He looked down at her. "You deserve kindness." Her breath caught. "I've never had someone say that to me." He swallowed. The world narrowed to the curve of her mouth, the light in her eyes. Before she could speak, the train roared in. He faded into the car as it filled with commuters. She watched him go. A small paper slipped from his pocket as he boarded. On the platform, she retrieved a "It. Meet me here tomorrow at midnight. I have something to show you." Her pulse spiked. What did Luca want to show her? Only a shadow of his world, or a glimpse of her own future. Midnight at the deserted station. Empty benches, flickering fluorescent lights. Seraphina pressed the crumpled note in her hand. Her heart hammered as she scanned the platform. A figure emerged from the tunnel, a tall man in a tailored coat. His hair was dark, eyes sharp. Her breath caught. Nathaniel Nate Ross, her college boyfriend, the one she left at graduation, broken promises and heartbreak in his wake. He stepped forward, voice husky. "Seraphina." Cold air bit her cheeks. She squared her shoulders. "What are you doing here?" He smiled. Bitter. Familiar. "I heard you were back in New York. Thought I'd see if you were surviving." Memories flashed. Rainy campus corridors. Piano practice at dawn. His hand brushing hers. Then his departure for Europe, his texts growing thin until they stopped. She swallowed. "I told you. Don't come back." He took a step closer. "I had to. I saw the headlines. Drake drama. I'm worried about you." Her laugh was sharp. "Worried? Or jealous?" His face flickered. Luca appeared at the tunnel's mouth, imposing silhouette. Nate's gaze followed him, wary. "Who's that?" Seraphina's heart sank, seeing Luca through Nate's eyes. Tension, territorial. She stepped between them. "This is Luca. My friend." Nate studied Luca. "Bodyguard?" His voice held contempt. "You're mixing with billionaires now?" Her pulse quickened. "I'm mixing with people who helped me." Nate's jaw tightened. "I helped you too." She shook her head. "You helped yourself. You left." He closed the distance. "I left to build a future For me. For us. Luca's hand moved to his side. Seraphina's breath caught. He was ready to defend her. She held up a hand. Enough. Nate's eyes softened, then darkened. I still love you. Her heart wrenched. The station lights flickered. Before she could reply, Luca stepped forward. Calm, controlled, dangerously close. Miss Vale asked for space, he said quietly. Nate's nostrils flared. Who the hell are you? Seraphina's heart raced. 2 worlds, 2 men. She closed her eyes. Please leave, Nate. He looked at her. Hurt, anger, regret swirling. Finally, he nodded. You're right. He turned and disappeared into the tunnel's gloom. Silence fell. Luca exhaled. Are you okay? She opened her eyes. I am now. He offered his arm. She took it. As they walked toward the exit, her phone vibrated again. Another cryptic note. Tomorrow, the truth will come out. Her blood ran cold. What will Seraphina do when the past and present collide? Tell me below. The grand ballroom of l'Arcadia had shifted from opulent revelry to ruthless spectacle. Rows of press chairs, lined like tombstones, faced a long table draped in midnight blue silk. Behind it, flanked by bodyguards, sat Killian Drake and Seraphina Vale. Microphones recorded every breath. Cameras whirred like electric insects. Below them, the world awaited scandal. A hush fell as Vivian Drake swept in, her stiletto heels clicking over marble. Her eyes, cold coals, burned into Seraphina. Beside her, board members whispered, lawyers adjusted their suits. A moderator stepped forward. Thank you for joining us. We've called this press conference to address recent allegations circulating in the tabloids. His gaze locked on Seraphina. Ms. Vale, you stand accused of exploiting the Drake name for personal gain. How do you respond? Heart pounding, Seraphina rose. Floodlights blinded her momentarily. She drew in a steadying breath. Thank you. First, let me say, I am not here for fame. I teach music to children who have nothing. I accepted Mr. Drake's offer because it benefits them, not me. Her voice, clear and unwavering, carried through the hall. If you want proof, look at their concert tomorrow at the Academy. I'll be there. Every note will speak louder than rumors. A flashbulb popped. Vivienne's lips curled. She leaned in. And what about the messages? The anonymous threats? Have you any evidence connecting them to my family? Seraphina glanced at Killian. He offered a subtle nod. She continued, I've kept every message. I handed them to the NYPD. If someone in this room has questions, speak to Detective Rivera. I'm here to clear my name. Another round of flashes. Killian stood, stepping to the podium. My mother, he paused, measuring. My mother, and I have our disagreements, publicly and privately. But one thing is true. Seraphina Vale is no liability. She is a pillar of this community. Murmurs rose. Reporters scribbled. Vivian's composure cracked. Just a flicker. She pressed her lips together, then straightened. Thank you, Killian. Her gaze returned to Seraphina. I admire your conviction. Let's see how it holds tomorrow. With that, she swept out. The moderator banged his gavel. This conference is adjourned. Outside, Seraphina's knees trembled. Killian placed a hand on her shoulder. You were remarkable. She forced a smile. Thank you. Her heart slammed as a camera flash captured them together. Down the steps, Luca stood inconspicuously. His eyes, storm gray and protective, met hers and gave a slight bow. She squeezed his hand. In that moment, she saw him, not as a shadow, but as an ally. Will tomorrow's concert prove her truth, or will hidden enemies silence her forever? Comment below. Dawn broke over Brooklyn with a shy blush. At the Academy's recital hall, rows of folding chairs faced a modest stage. Parents, students, and a smattering of reporters arrived early, curiosities in their eyes. Backstage, Seraphina smoothed the hem of her dress, simple black with pearl accents. Her students, clad in mismatched concert attire, fidgeted with excitement and nerves. Luca appeared beside her, offering a single white rose. She accepted it, heart fluttering. "Break a leg," he whispered. She caught his gaze. Love and gratitude suffused her chest. "Thank you. For everything." He offered a small, rare smile. "For the music." A hush fell as the first student took the stage. Their shaky fingers found the keys of a grand piano donated by Killian's foundation. The melody rose, clear, pure, resilient. As each child performed, scales, etudes, sonatas, Seraphina's heart swelled. These were the voices silenced by poverty, now singing their truths. Midway, a hush fell as a small girl named Mia began a Chopin nocturne. Her notes trembled, then soared. Seraphina watched tears shimmer in Luca's eyes. Even Killian, in the étouffée back row, appeared moved. After the final applause, Seraphina stepped on stage. She raised a microphone. "Thank you all for coming. Tonight was never about me. It was about these incredible young musicians. They deserve every opportunity. And more." She paused, gaze drifting to Killian and then to Luca. "There are people who believe I'm here for anything but passion. But passion cannot be bought. It can only be shared." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the audience. She continued softly, "To Killian Drake, I forgive your silence that night. Because you found me afterwards." She turned to Luca. "And to Luca. Thank you for seeing me when everyone else didn't." Silence, heavy and expectant. Killian rose, stepping forward. In his hand, a small velvet box. He dropped to one knee. "Seraphina Vale," he began, voice husky. "Will you let me spend a lifetime proving I see you? And only you?" Gasps echoed. Seraphina's breath caught. Tears brimmed, Luca's jaw clenched, his fists balled at his sides. She looked at Killian, then at Luca. The weight of her choice pressed like marble. Her voice shook. "Yes." Time stilled as Killian placed the ring on her finger. A simple band with a single pearl echoing her. Mother's pearls. The audience erupted. Cameras flashed. Applause thundered. Luca exhaled, stepping back, his expression unreadable, but a hint of something, relief, acceptance, passed across his face. Would you choose the man who can buy the world, or the one who chose to protect your heart? Let me know below. Spring unfurled its petals across the city. Cherry blossoms drifted like confetti down stoops and sidewalks. News outlets hailed the Drake Vale partnership as a triumph of generosity and grit. At the announcement, gala for Seraphina's new Harmony for All Foundation, the L'Arcadia Ballroom gleamed once more, this time as a symbol of hope. Banner read, "Harmony for All, celebrating music, community, and second chances." Tables held donation jars in the shape of musical notes. On a raised dais, Seraphina stood beside Killian, her hand clasped in his. Luca, now in a tailored suit, lingered at the edge. Guardian turned advisor. Seraphina raised a glass. Tonight, we celebrate the power of music to unite us, to give voice to the unheard, and to heal wounds we didn't know we carried. Glass chimed in a toast. Laughter and chatter filled the room. Afterward, Seraphina slipped away to the balcony, gazing at the skyline streaked with pink dusk. Luca joined her, offering tea in a porcelain cup. She tilted her head. "Thank you for everything, even after—" Her voice softened. "Even after what happened?" He nodded. "I came to realize that protecting you meant letting you choose." She smiled. "And I chose both of you, in different ways." He studied her, storm-gray eyes warm. "I understand." Killian appeared, rose in hand. "May I steal my fiancé for one dance?" She looked between them. Luca bowed slightly. "After you." She slipped into Killian's arm. Luca watched, then slipped away into the gathering crowd. His work done, his promise kept. Music swelled. They danced beneath crystal lights, notes of hope and renewal filling the air. And so, under the chandelier's glow, Seraphina Vale found more than a scholarship. She found love in unexpected places, a billionaire who opened doors, and a silent protector who held her hand when the world turned its back. What would you have done, dear listener? Would you choose the glittering promise of power, or the steadfast loyalty of a silent guardian? Let me know in the comments below. If this tale of hidden motives, shattered illusions, and slow-burning romance thrilled you, smash that like button. Subscribe for your next emotional roller coaster. And share this story with a friend who loves billionaire dramas, because the next twist waits just around the corner. Thank you for listening. Until next time, stay captivated.